We're going to bring on John Fanta now, one of our favorite guests. And, John, we're thrilled to have you on the show. I got to tell you what happened yesterday when you texted me, though. I was at the pool with a bunch of my buddies, and my phone was being used to play music. And my buddy John was like, ironically, John, not you, John, goes, hey, you got a text. I'm like, who's it from? He goes, John Fanta. I'm like, oh, John, read it. So he reads it, and John was like, I got to talk Guardians. I need to come on the show. I got to talk Guardians. And my buddy John goes, wait, is this the John Fanta? I'm like, yeah. He goes, how do you know John Fanta?
The John Fanta.
John, half my friends know what I do. Half of them know I do something in sports, have no idea what I do. I have never had more street cred than I did on Saturday afternoon when you texted me and my buddy was holding my phone. So I want to say thank you for making me seem way cooler than I actually am, John.
Wow, Mike. That is very humbling. I would have thought Jay Crawford or Garrett Bush. I wouldn't have thought Adam the Bull would get you the street cred, but I would have thought either of those first two. No, it's great to join you guys. And I know all of you, congratulations. Congratulations on the Emmy over the weekend. It is very well deserved. More are coming in your future. So thank you, fellas, for having me.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that at the end of the show, but a big day in UCSS history, John.
John is the first guest
Thanks
we've
for
ever
recognizing
had at an
it.
Emmy award-winning show. So
there you go, John.
Did you pull that out your book bag? It just came out of nowhere.
Put him on the table to start the show when the Atkinson news happened. So
I had a party going away party at the house yesterday for Laura Queso, and 100 WKYC employees were at my house, and I expected everyone that won an Emmy the night before to come with their Emmy to the party, because it's kind of a joke in TV that you hold it around with you for 24 hours. Yeah. But nobody had it.
Right.
Nobody had one, which I was kind of surprised. They all left them at home.
John, what do you think about the Kenny Atkinson hire, though? Let's start right away with that. Breaking news this morning out of Cleveland, and Atkinson's the new head coach for the Cavaliers. And I know you have some people connected to him in the past. What can you tell us about Kenny Atkinson? What are the Cavs getting?
Well, it's interesting, guys, because I'm home for me is always Cleveland, but I live in New Jersey now. So I call a lot of basketball in the northeast part of the country. So as a result, I end up working with a lot of people that work Nets games. Sarah Kustok, the Nets analyst with Iron Eagle on the Yes Network, she's one of my primary analysts that I work with and partner up with for Fox College Basketball and more. And for years, Sarah's told me about Kenny Atkinson. She's not the only one. People around the Nets that worked with Kenny, yes, you look at that record. But if you look at what Kenny was able to do with the Nets at one point, getting a young core of Jared Allen and of Karis LeVert going in the right direction, he is an elite player development guy. For those holes in his arsenal, when he was let go by the Nets, when they parted ways, there was a thought process in the league from people that I've talked with in recent years that wasn't his last stop as a head coach. He's a really, really well-liked guy in the league, has a great reputation. Then again, is Steve Kerr going to hire someone that he doesn't trust, that he doesn't think highly of? You have to account for that when you look at this hire. If there's an organization that Dan Gilbert has become, I don't want to say friendly with, guys, but more accustomed to knowing than others, it's the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors are a world-class organization that has hired people that have written their history. The Cavalier fans out there, we all know what they are. I think that Kenny Atkinson, the thought process with this hire from Dan Gilbert, who made this hire, there's no question about that, is that Kenny Atkinson showed some good signs at one point as a head coach. Look beyond the record. He has just been the right-hand man to Steve Kerr. He went to training camp, if you will, on what to do in his next stop as a head coach. Has a terrific reputation, has connectivity with some of the Cavalier players, and you can't tell me that behind the scenes that there wasn't at least one conversation with Donovan Mitchell about this hire. Between his reputation in the league, his teams play hard. The Cavaliers need a new system. Kenny Atkinson just learned from a guy who's developed one of the best systems you will find offensively in Steve Kerr. That's why the stars aligned for me for Atkinson to be the head coach of this organization.
Can I quickly, John, drill down on something that you asked, or something that you said? You had mentioned that there's no doubt this is a Dan Gilbert hire. We had theorized that as well. The wind was going in Borrego's direction, and then boom, all of a sudden it changes. What do you know? What do you think happened And what do you know from what you're guessing happened?
Well, Jay, I think that sometimes the winds can blow in a lot of directions. And we love theorizing, don't we? It's something that we all do, and it's these types of conversations wouldn't happen without us doing some theorizing. But remember that Atkinson's name was the initial name floated out there. Sometimes other names get brought into the equation. Look at the Lakers head coaching search recently.
Right.
To perhaps add leverage in different directions on different ends of the spectrum. Now, James Borrego says there's no leverage play there. It's not like he comes from some long lineage of success. But Atkinson was the initial name that was brought up. What do I think happened? I think the Cavaliers were honestly tangled up in this search, and Kobe Altman, Mike Gansey and company, in the middle of this search, know that the NBA draft is coming Wednesday. They had to get a person in place by the NBA draft. I agree with you guys. I thought Wednesday or Thursday of last week, we would have known who the head coach of this franchise is by now. But to me, Dan has the final say. When you've got a ring as well, I don't care how you got there. You can have the final say as much as you want. And I think that he looked at Atkinson's reputation, the fact that he's come from some winning. He's won a ring on an NBA bench, right? Might not have been the head coach, but you have to trust who you talk with. And I just think that Atkinson had more pull in this search for Dan Gilbert to feel more comfortable hiring him than he would have been with Borrego. I know that people's reaction is, well, how does Kobe Altman feel about this? Because Kobe Altman he wants control of the searches he makes. But I think Kobe Altman has lasted this long in Cleveland in the first place because he knows who the commander-in-chief is of the organization, and that's Dan Gilbert. Yeah, whether you want to hear it or not, that's the case. That's why Kobe Altman, because when J.B. Bickerstaff got fired, Kobe Altman, you could have made a case like, should people start to look hard at Kobe Altman's job status? But the alignment is there in that Kobe Altman knows who ultimately calls the shots, and he's okay with that.
John, I done heard this buzzword thrown around. I love it in the media. If one person say it, the buzzword just keeps growing. I heard Earl already today say development. Mike McNugget say development. And you come in, you throw a little extra sauce on the Big Mac and say elite development. So when you're looking at this, I've always thought that the roster was a little bit flawed. However, do you think there's somewhere deep down inside where they're looking at it now and saying, well, maybe we don't need anything else. Maybe we develop Darius and all those guys and guys like that. What are your thoughts on staying pat possibly?
G. Bush, this is why I love talking with you, because and love talking with all you guys, but G. Bush gives us the extra dimension on this particular question because, in my opinion, it doesn't matter who the Cavaliers ended up hiring until they do something about the elephant in the room, which is their personnel. Okay? The biggest thing, in my opinion, that I cannot get over with this Cavaliers organization right now is not having to do with Donovan Mitchell. Jay, I loved what you said about Jim Donovan saying, what has he won? I get that. I also think Dan Gilbert and the Cavs brass are almost a little bit of a victim of their own success in that they know it's a star-driven league. They know stars don't just appear randomly. And they know Donovan Mitchell is still one of those stars and one of the best bucket getters. In my opinion, though, Darius Garland is the furthest thing from that. You're not winning. You're not going deep into the playoffs with Darius Garland as a lead guard. You're just not. I think he's better suited as a third, fourth, fifth type of option on a team. So I really love what you say there. I love what you say there, Garrett, because Kenny Atkinson's coming in to develop players, right? Kenny Atkinson's coming in to play differently, But I don't think in the NBA it is not as easy as playing differently. Your dudes are going to win for you. And the fact is, the Cavaliers, I think, heading into this year, still felt that Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, not the same players, okay, not in the way that they play, could have a Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown type of mesh on the perimeter, type of scoring at a high level, coexisting to a high degree. They both need the ball in their hands to flourish.
Yes.
Until the Cavaliers, I do not think that running it back with a new system is going to be the answer to their problems. If they think that, they're kidding themselves. The biggest problem I have with the Cavs is not who they hire as the head coach. Who they hire as the head coach doesn't matter if you don't figure out these other problems personnel-wise. My biggest problem is them putting out there in the public eye with no one asking for it that they're trying to keep the same core intact and that they're not looking to move Darius Garland. What kind of messaging is that? He clearly isn't the answer. Why are you putting it out there that he's not on the open market? In my opinion, you're hurting his value. You're causing other teams to say, well, we can cross him off the list of people we're going to pursue. Why would you do that? I don't agree with.
All right, I'll tell you what I love is John Fanta with the flamethrower in his hand. That's what I'm talking
Slow
about.
clap.
Bring the
Exactly.
bring the heat. What you're saying is what we've been saying, really, going back to last year, and then watching it kind of peak at points this year, and then bottom fall out. You know it when you see it, and unfortunately, it's not it. It just isn't. And you're right, they're kind of the same guy. And I don't think Garland can acquiesce to become the guy the Cavs need, so move on.
But they're not the same guy in the sense that that's disrespectful to Donovan Mitchell.
No, it is, but you know what I'm saying? Garland wants to be what Mitchell is, and he can't, not here.
Yeah, and I guess where I'm perplexed is this. I like the steps they've been taking organizationally. If you guys remember, Mike, I don't know if you remember this, we did an interview last year right around the draft. And I kind of brought up that I think that they should change some things up in the personnel department. And I understood the counter-argument was, well, they made great progress. Shouldn't they try to at least run it back once? I'm not going to fight with anybody on that. Like, I get why they did what they did this past year. But isn't the writing on the wall? I mean, let's ask Mike Holmgren how 5-year plans work. Okay, guess what? They don't. Let's ask any Cleveland executive that's ever worked in our town. Ask them how their 4 to 6 year plan went. Okay, it doesn't work. And you would think that Dan Gilbert and the Cavaliers brass, who, by the way, know what winning championships looks like. They know what a parade looks like. I think that these other pieces. I think if Evan Mobley, Kenny Atkinson is getting hired to unlock Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley's still young, guys. The best chapters of his career are still ahead of him. He is an incredible defensive player. I believe Kenny Atkinson and his staff can unlock more of a perimeter game, more shot making from Mobley. But let's acknowledge the fact that sometimes things don't work. I think Darius Garland can go be a solid option on a team or a good option on a different team. I understand that the counter argument is, well, if you get rid of him, be careful what you wish for. The grass isn't always greener. But in the NBA, I'm sorry. I do not want to be in purgatory. All right? I'd rather be in hell in the NBA and figure out a way to get to heaven, even though that's not really possible. But I'd rather be in the bottom and then try to raise to the top, because the fact is, when you're stuck in the middle in the NBA and you're just trying to get up there, if you could get there, you'd already be there.
That's a great point. John, listen, I know that you texted Mikey yesterday and you said you wanted to talk Guardians, and then this NBA news broke and we had to go there with you. But we got you for 7 minutes on the Guardians. Just go. Like, what in the hell are we looking at? This team is they're outrageous.
This is the best story in baseball.
Yes.
Bar none. It is. In Cleveland, we should be talking about a parade. Yeah, you can dream. It's not unfair. It might be June 24th, but what's there not to like about this ball club? They have everything you want. They've got a young core of players. They don't have big egos. Their best player, who's in the MVP race, took a hometown discount. Start building the statue for Jose Ramirez. Right. They have another currently top 5 hitter in the game, in my opinion, in Stephen Kwan. They have one of the guys who, when he gets hot, in Josh Naylor, when he gets hot, he is scalding hot, and right now he is just that. Do they have some questions to answer? What team doesn't? Yes, the starting rotation needs to figure some things out. Getting Gavin Williams back is going to be like making a midseason trade, but that's not going to be enough. I do believe they've got to find a way to get another arm and maybe get another bat, but they should go for it. What I don't understand is this, all right? We're talking about Dan Gilbert and Kobe Altman for a moment, and what's the alignment of the Cavs? We talk about the Cleveland Browns all the time. It looks like they've got alignment, but for years they did not have alignment.
Right.
The Cleveland Guardians, right? The only thing that had to change was the name. And over the weekend, when I tweeted out, there's nothing not to like about this team, and I still see replies from people who say they can never get it done in October, or I'm waiting for them to win a world championship. What do you mean you're waiting? Okay? We don't want you if you're waiting. This is the best story in baseball. Relish in the now, folks. This is beautiful what this ball club is doing. Stephen Vogt's the manager of the year. And to me, this team has everything you'd want in a Cleveland sports team. And a lot of people instantly came back to me and said, I'm not watching because of the name and the owner. The name, I'm not going to be able to fight with those people, win the argument. Those people are going to sit on their horses all day. And you know what? Good riddance. Goodbye. They represent Cleveland, Ohio. If you are going to get on the owner, I understand if you have been against him for not spending money in the past. That's fine. I'm not going to change that. I will argue for you on that till the sun goes down. But if the owner was that bad, how come his front office is aligned every year? How come his players love playing for the organization? The Cleveland Guardians are the best organization in the town. It's not close. And for how much they win, I think some of the town takes it for granted. Get on the wagon right now, right here, right now, and let's enjoy the heck out of this ride.
John, man, what's up, brother? It's been a while. Listen, the Guardians get a 3-game sweep over the Blue Jays. They hit 6 home runs in the process. This is a team that I think has one of the top 3 or 4 batting average collectively with runners in scoring position. This is a team that's right there at the top with scoring runs with 2 outs. You mentioned Stephen Vogt being manager of the year. What the hell did Stephen Vogt come in and do to this team that has this team playing the way that they are?
Earl, I think he came in and was his authentic self. I think he also talked quite a bit with Terry Francona. And I think he said, how do I keep this, what has been a franchise machine, how do I keep it going? Not how do I try to put some insane spin on it. This guy's like a player. I mean, we're watching footage right now. I just think that the Guardians were at a point with Terry where he had done everything he could and is a legend for it. He's a Cleveland sports legend, is Terry Francona. They just had to get a younger mind in and a younger guy who just created a fresh energy and buzz. Carl Willis is still standing next to Stephen Vogt. So clearly, Stephen Vogt liked a lot of what was happening with the Guardians. And I think that Chris Antonetti, Mike Chernoff, I think that Paul Dolan, I think everybody in the organization said, all right, how do we hire someone who doesn't mess up the apple cart to a crazy degree? How do we hire somebody that makes sense for our organizational viewpoint? Well, they crushed this hire. And no, I don't think it's too early, 75 games into his tenure. You could just see how well-liked he is. You can hear his answers post-game, and it almost sounds like sometimes we're listening to Tito talk.
It does. You're right.
Think it's like nothing has changed operationally. It's like that great restaurant that you've been going to for 25 years. Unfortunately, it was time for the guy who founded the restaurant to maybe retire, start playing some golf, start enjoying his life. And he handed it down, to his son or handed it down to somebody close to him. And this guy knows everything about the organization. Stephen Vogt was made to be the manager of this franchise. And what he's done, the most impressive thing that he's done with this ball club this year is who they are offensively. Guys, every time they go behind in a game, don't you feel like they can punch right back?
It takes us back to the mid-'90s. Yeah. Because even in 22, John, and that's a great point, they had a magical season in 22, and there were some great things happening. But you're right. I feel like if they're down 5-1, I'm okay. They've got some bats on this team where in 22, I did not feel like they were going to be okay in games like that. And it's incredible. And the alignment point that you made is dead on. It's like they went out I'm going to date myself. There was an episode of the Brady Bunch where they needed a singer, and they got Greg Brady because he fit the Johnny Bravo suit. He just fit the suit. He wasn't a good singer, but he fit the suit. I feel like with Stephen Vogt, they got a guy who fit the suit, but who, by the way, happens to be a great guy cut from the same cloth as Tito. It's unbelievable how this organization does as much as it does with the checkbook that it has.
Absolutely. And they're 49-26, and the starting rotation has been probably average at the end of the day, would be the best way to describe it. Some ups, some downs. They're 49-26. All right, they just beat the Mariners 2 out of 3. They roll past the Blue Jays, who have now gone on a slide. Tonight starts a big test in Baltimore. This is going to be a really interesting series. But to start with Bybee on the rubber, he's been a machine. He's been absolutely phenomenal. You know, they've got some things to figure out with their rotation. But guys, the fact that their bullpen's the best in baseball. I mean, you feel like when they go to their bullpen, these guys are going to get it done. Emmanuel Clase has become the best closer in baseball. That trade a couple years back, what a value it was. Bybee's been money. And their lineup. I mean, this offense keeps getting better. And they've got some decisions to make with that lineup. And they've, sending Manzardo down, I didn't love. But the fact is this. I just feel like at times we get very critical, not the four of us, but there's a sector that for whatever reason, they like chaos, right? They like problems to talk about and criticize. So then when a team has success, we don't know how to talk about them. Well, here's what can be said. Enjoy the heck out of this because you don't get 49-26 starts like this every year. I don't care if you're the Yankees or if you're the Dodgers, who you are. If they win tonight and the Phillies lose, the Guardians have the best record in the entire sport. It's fun. They're fun. And this franchise, to me, is one of the most undervalued in all of professional sports for who they are from top to bottom. And I'm glad they're from Cleveland because they're representing this city well. And I love to see it. The fans are responding. The over 100,000 over the weekend, that is great to see. This is an awesome Cleveland story, and summer's going to be a lot of fun, fellas.
It is. Attendance is up, not just up a little, it's way up. John, I wish we had more time with you. I know you have a heart out, you've got to go, but as always, it's great to talk sports with you. Great to see you. Thanks for the Cavs thoughts and the Guardians thoughts.
Hey, John, next time you in town, pull up, man. Yeah, tell them pull up in studio next time you're here.
Yeah, when you get to town, let us know.
I would love to. I'll chat with you guys anytime. Thanks for having me.
We have a chair with your name on it.
Yes, sir.
John Fanta.
I appreciate that, guys.
Thanks, John. We're going to keep our Guardians discussion going.